Good morning, Michael. It's been a little bit of time since we did a video together, so I'm really happy to see you. How have you been?
I'm great. Thank you, Laura. Michael Kurtanik, Macintosh Realtors. To everybody out there, welcome to our show. Got a great topic for you today. And yes, Laura, our absence, our time apart has certainly made me melancholy. So I'm glad we're here this morning.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder,
Or
right?
fungus. I'm not sure which.
A Louis Pasteur
Yeah.
experiment growing. Well, good. This probably is the topic that I field the most questions and phone calls about. So I talk about it almost every day. So I thought it would be something for us to go over again. And today we'll be talking about first-time homebuyer programs. Not all of them,
Right.
because no lender does all the programs. So we do, quite a few, but not all of them. And it's impossible to do all of them because every single one has its own rules and regulations. And the entity that's gifting or granting or loaning the money they want all of our financials, and it's just not possible to do it. So that's why we don't have all the programs, but we have some good ones.
And yeah, let's talk about this. I am connecting with a lot of first-time home buyers these days, Laura, but what does it actually mean to be a first-time home buyer?
Well, it doesn't actually mean you have to be buying your first home,
Oh
believe it
yeah?
or not.
Yeah.
So um, you can use a first time home buyer program without actually technically being a first time home buyer, which is kind of crazy that they label things and then it doesn't really mean what it sounds like it means. So, but what it does mean is that you can't own another property and use a first time home buyer program for the most part. Now, FHA is the original first time home buyer program because it really just means a bucket of loans that has been designed to get more people into owning a home, into housing. And so they design these programs with low down payments. So that's really what that term encompasses, is the different programs that have small down payments. And by small, I mean less than 20%. So usually it has a 3% down payment or a 3.5% down payment for an FHA loan. So it's really just a small down payment, and it's, giving more of the responsibility in the, I guess, risk category to the lender, because they are, will do a loan with a very small um, basic contribution from the buyer. So that's
Yeah,
more what it means than that you have to actually be buying your first home.
right. And is that like a first-time home buyer in the state of Maryland, or the first time you've ever bought a house in the country, like in the United States?
If you're using a down payment assistance program,
Uh-huh.
it means never having owned a home anywhere.
Okay.
They
Okay.
really say anywhere on the planet, but how, I don't
Yeah.
know, figure that out. So
Yeah.
basically, you can't really be on title. So if, say, you're a young adult and you're buying your first home, but your parents had you on title to their house, or you're still on title to their house, that's an issue.
Right. Okay. So I know as a realtor, what I do is this is the part, Laura, where I turn it over to you, and you like figure out. I will share with you, Laura, that something like, yeah, these buyers, Laura, they tell me they're first time home buyers, they've been renting, stuff like that, and you do your due diligence. Um, what's interesting is that it seems like having that bucket allows a lot of flexibility for the first time homebuyer program and everything that it does, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it allows people that it's not their first home, but they don't own any other homes, or they are going to sell the current home that they're in, to still use a loan program with a small down payment, which is good because, it can help people maybe even keep more of their money liquid and not in their home if they can, afford it with the ratios and all of that. But, they still don't have to make a huge down payment to buy up into maybe their next home. But they do have to sell the current home before they settle on the new home if they're going to use one of these programs. So the down payment assistance, like with Maryland, has two categories. One is actually for the first time home buyer, that it is your first home, you've never owned a home or been on title. And then they have another category for those people that are buying not their first home, but they don't own any other property, or they're going to sell their property before they um, buy the new one. So the difference in those two things is, one, they don't give the person that's already been a homeowner as much help for down payment assistance, and they charge a little bit higher interest rate than if you're actually a first time home buyer. So they do differentiate between the
Okay.
two, but you can still use an assistance program, which is
So
cool.
let's say, let me ask you this. Let's say I'm representing a seller and there's a first time home buyer who is eligible for the program. Does the first time home buyer program affect the seller in any way in terms of the contract or anything, or from a seller's perspective?
It can, not as far as costing them money, as far
Okay.
as there's no fees that they have to pay when the buyer is using a down payment assistance program. There's no fees to the seller. However, they need to know, or the agent needs to let them know, that there are two underwritings. So it goes through the underwriting process of the lender. And when that is approved and conditions are cleared, then and only then do we send the file to, like, for the most part, we use Maryland Mortgage Program. We send it to the Maryland Mortgage Program. It goes electronically, so it's not like in the past when we actually mailed it to them. So it is faster. It's an upload system, but
Or
they underwrite.
or that old horse and buggy system you used to use, Laura. Yeah, those days are gone, right?
Yeah, we actually used to hire people called couriers to, well, not
Yeah.
like in New York, they don't bicycle it there, but they drive it there and hand deliver it. That's how we used to get things around.
Right,
So,
right, right, right.
so there's two underwritings: the
Yeah.
lender's underwriting and the underwriting for the program. Now, pretty much if the lender has the loan file approved, it's going to get approved at the, like, Maryland Mortgage Program, unless the underwriter, they just totally miss some aspect of it, which doesn't usually happen. But they're basically underwriting to make sure, all their criteria is met on top of, what we require. So it's two underwritings, which means you have to be very efficient to get it done in 30 days, which we are. We've not had a problem with still doing a 30-day contract. But, some lenders, depending on how their process flow is, might need more time. They might need
Okay.
45 days to
Yeah.
get it through.
So from a seller's perspective, if I'm representing a seller, then the buyer's agent and the lender will just have to be upfront and say, okay, these buyers are eligible for the first time home buyer program. There's two underwriting processes, internal and then MMP, the Maryland Mortgage Program. And so while we typically can settle within 30 days, it could be 40 days. And maybe that's why in the contract the settlement is a little bit extended just in case. So I
And
think clear communication then between the buyer's agent and lender with the seller's agent and vis-a-vis the seller, so that everybody knows that it might take an extra couple days, but
yeah,
at least
and you
we'll be
also want
settled.
to right, track that timing so that you're
Yeah,
up to date on where the file is, and hopefully the loan officer is, if it's not me, calling
yeah,
and giving updates of where the file is. Like, we're approved, we're clear, so it's going to them now. So we have to wait. They have been way more efficient in the last year or two than
sure,
in
sure.
years prior. Years prior, it could take a month on their side. It was a nightmare, but now it's pretty good. It's very good.
Okay.
I haven't had any problems with them.
Well, that's really reassuring. So what are some other advantages of buyers using the first time home buyer program?
Well, the biggest advantage is that they don't have to have as much money saved
Right,
as they would if they didn't use the program.
right.
So for customers that haven't been able to save a lot of money, or they don't want to liquidate all the money that they have saved so that they have that emergency fund and stuff when they do go to settlement, because they're going to need it.
Yeah.
Then using the program is very helpful. Now, they can't have too many assets because there is an asset test. If they have more than 20% of the sales price, they're not going to be eligible to get the down
Okay.
payment assistance. So there are some other little, quirks in there that we have to be cognizant of. But like, we don't count 401k funds and stuff like that. So, but for the most part, it helps people, either keep their money liquid, or it helps them get into buying a home sooner than if they were to have to save all of that money themselves.
Okay. Okay. So then let's flip the coin then. Are there any disadvantages for using the first time home buyer program?
Yeah, I can think of two. One, I think in this market, it's a disadvantage for your contract to be using a down payment assistance program, because the seller and the seller's agent are going to look at that when they're looking at all the contract offers. If somebody is going in using their own funds, maybe even making a bigger down payment, and they don't have to have two underwritings, that's a cleaner contract. So it could be a slight disadvantage
Okay.
from that standpoint. And the other disadvantage is that the program sets the interest rate. You know, you're not getting free money. The
Okay.
interest rates on those programs run higher than the market.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not a lot higher, sometimes it's a quarter, sometimes it's a half of a percent in the rate.
Yeah.
So the interest rate is, generally speaking, higher than what the market is if you're using your own funds.
So my thought then, Laura, is if I'm representing buyers and they are eligible for the first time home buyer program, down payment assistance, and they see that it's a higher rate, is there how soon can they refinance after settlement? Or can they?
If if the market allows, they can refinance. There's not really any restrictions on that. Generally speaking, most lenders like to see at least 6 payments having been made before refinancing a loan. However, that assistance and this would be another disadvantage, that assistance that they got from the program is not free money. Not only are they paying at a higher interest rate, but that money is a loan. It is not a gift. It is not a grant. It is a loan that is repayable. Now, for the most part, if you keep their loan, you don't refinance, you're not making any repayment until some way later date that you sell the house or you do refinance. So that usually is what would stop somebody from refinancing right away, is because there's not enough equity to, absorb that loan
Mhm.
into the refinance. So it would have to be out of their pocket at that point in time, which
Right.
they probably wouldn't have the money. So you're probably not going to refinance right away.
Okay. Fair
I
enough.
have refinanced people later on as the market appreciation accumulates, but it's usually several years down the line. You have to be comfortable with the payment and realize that you're probably not going to refinance right away. So that's a warning sign. If your lender is telling you, oh, you'll just refinance, that is not true. You will
Okay.
not just refinance. It takes the ability to be able to refinance, plus the interest rate has to be favorable. So it has to make sense, and you have to be able to, make all the numbers make sense.
Interesting. Interesting. So is there anything that this first time homebuyer program can't do?
Yes. And thank you for asking that great question. A first time home buyer program will not, and no loan program will help you qualify for more house than you can afford.
Okay.
So when
So
somebody wants
appraisal.
to buy a $350,000 house because they saw it online
Yeah.
and their income qualifies them for, say, 250,000, just picking numbers. The next question out of their mouth to me is usually, well, don't you have a program for that? No, I do not. This
Right.
is math.
Yeah.
You qualify based on your income and your monthly obligations. So I cannot help you qualify for more house than you can afford. And the program will not help you qualify for more house than you can afford. In fact, using the program, you will actually qualify for less house than if you had your own money, because the interest rate's a little bit higher and the qualifying ratios are tighter than they are if you're not using the program. So no, the program will not help you qualify for more house than what you actually qualify for based on your income and your monthly obligations. It will
Excellent.
also not fix your credit.
It won't. Okay.
It will not fix your credit. You have to have a minimum credit score of 640 to use most first time home buyer programs, down payment assistance programs.
Okay.
640. So it
Okay.
will not fix your credit score. We have to do that prior to using a down payment assistance program.
Okay. Well, so I have one final question. In this market with low inventory and competing offers, we talked about this in a previous episode where we have buyers who are pre-approved, but then we also have buyers who are pre-approved and have gone through underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Does the down payment assistance program for first-time home buyers, can you go through full underwriting with these buyers, or does it still end at the lender? And once you get a contract, everything kicks up to the Maryland Mortgage Program. How's
Yeah,
that
we
work?
underwrite on our side,
Yeah.
but they don't underwrite because you have to register the loan with them. And as
Right.
soon as you register it, you can't register it without a property and stuff, because their timelines start ticking and they're not advantageous to the lender that's, originating the loan. So we can't send them anything until we have a property and our loan is approved, just
But
because of all the timelines. But we can on our side, and a lot of
right.
lenders do not do this, but we do.
Yeah.
We can have the loan underwritten on our side, and our underwriter will underwrite it to their guidelines because we have
Right.
program and everything designated in the file. So for the most part, we're good to go once our underwriting is done.
Right. Which helps the earlier part of this conversation where we talked about maybe it'll take a couple extra days.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the underwriting done ahead of time, pending the house, getting a accepted offer, and then kicking it to the Maryland Mortgage Program, 30 days seems a lot more doable than if a buyer has not gone through the full
Mm-hmm.
underwriting and you have not still looked at all of their docs, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So
Okay.
it's very important to do your work up front, which I always have done in my career,
Yeah.
because I don't like the stress of finding out ugly surprises down the road. So I like to do it up front before you take your time and energy and they fall in love with something.
Yeah.
Let's get all the kinks worked out.
Yeah.
And then you're out there shopping with confidence. And basically your loan, a lot of the hard part of the loan is done. The
Yeah.
paperwork, still a lot of paperwork. Can't do anything about that either.
Right. Right.
We
Right.
paperwork everybody to death, just part of
Yeah.
what we offer.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great topic, Laura. Any final thoughts as we conclude today's episode?
It's easy to, well, I forgot to put it on the screen, but you can text me, just put in, DPA to 301-674-7716. I can send you some program guidelines, or or you can do both. You can just Google Maryland Mortgage Program, and you can browse through their website and get all sorts of information. So it's a pretty good website. They hide a few things, but it's good, easy website. So you can look on that. You can see what their rates are and their different programs. But the one I use the most is 5% help, which covers your down payment plus a little bit of closing help. Or if you're at 80, I think it's 80% of the area median income, so your lower income, you can get up to 6% help. So
Mhm.
both are those are the two that I use most from the Maryland Mortgage Program. But you can look it up,
Awesome.
or you can just text me DPA and I'll send you information.
Yep, and I know everyone's eager to start looking at houses with me, but I always tell my buyers, just first talk to Laura, first talk to the lender, and just figure it out, get everything done up front, so then we can have a smoother itinerary of looking at houses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So
hope this was helpful to everybody.
think so too. I think it was. And thanks everybody for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, Laura, have an awesome day.
All righty. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Where's the button? It went away. I can't find this. There it is.